So growing up, there were two movies that really stick out in my mind that truly scared me. That really, really got me into horror. Probably for the wrong reasons, probably because I like being scared. I am someone who gets startled really easily. I get scared pretty easily. Even if a movie is pretty bad, I can still get pretty scared by it. And the two movies that really stick out in my mind for getting me into horror and really scaring me as a child have to be Child's Play and The Exorcist. And let's start with Child's Play. Ooh, baby, how do we start with Child's Play? This is the original Child's Play. I know there's a remake coming out and it looks okay. It doesn't look anything crazy. But the original Child's Play is just amazing. It is horrifying. It is truly something that will give you nightmares, especially if you're a child. The idea that your doll comes to life and is it goes on a murdering spree is just like, ugh. So, for those of you unaware, the main plot, like a short version of it, is that there's this kid named Andy, and it's his up-and-coming birthday. His mom wants to get him a present, and there's this toy line called Good Guys, and they're these good guy dolls, so they're supposed to be good guys. And there's a murderer named Charles, I believe. He goes by Chucky, and he does a voodoo spell to put his body into a doll before he dies. And it turns out that this doll, Andy ends up getting, and Chucky ends up using Andy to make it look like Andy is going crazy and being psychotic and causing all these murders. And I just gotta say, like, the practicality, I think that's what really gets to me, is the practicality. I have a really hard time getting into special effect monsters or special effects in general. A movie can be amazing, but if there's really heavy like CGI or special effects, it just really pulls me out of the movie. I don't know, it just isn't that strong. I think that's why modern horror isn't as good, for me at least. But for Chucky, it was all animatronics. There was some little people that were also used, but it was mostly animatronics that would have Chucky flailing around or running or screaming. And oh my god, the voice of Chucky. He is... I know Mark Hamill's going to do the new one, but the original voice, just like the power behind his screams as he yells and he charges at you, it's horrifying. It really is. His facial I was supposed to say animations, but no, his facial, just like his face, like how it molds to him screaming or being angry or frowning, like it's scary. Like as a kid, even now, like, do yourself a favor and look up the fireplace scene. It's a scene where Andy's mom wants to prove that Chucky the doll is alive, so she threatens to throw him in a fireplace, and to save the surprise, Chucky comes alive, but you have to see it. It's horrifying. It's also really horrifying when, and I'm gonna spoil the end of the movie, but it's pretty old, so fault's on you. But to the ending, there's a scene where they're fighting Chucky, and they do end up using that fireplace. They throw him. He's in the fireplace, and Andy ends up throwing a match into the fireplace, and Chucky just screams. I'm saying screams. Like, you actually believe he's on fire. And the way he wails around, just like screaming, it's horrifying. It really is. And I know Child's Play has a series of movies now. Ones that I'd much rather forget, because you just gotta watch the first one. Don't end up watching any of the other ones. The second one, from what I can remember, it was kind of scary, because they end up going into a factory of a bunch of good guys, the doll brand, and there's a lot of Chuckies, but it's not really anything scary. And then Child's Play 3, if I'm not mistaken, Andy's a lot older, and he's in like military boot camp. I think that's Child's Play 3. And there's nothing really crazy about Child's Play 3. And then The Bride of Chucky is where the series really went from like being horror to being like a horror comedy. If you haven't seen Bride of Chucky, basically Chucky had a girlfriend, fiance before he died, like the actual guy, and he goes to make his girlfriend Tiffany into a doll, and then they end up kidnapping this couple, and it's really more a comedy, you know. It's not really scary. And then there's Seed of Chucky, which is just borderline offensive. It's just like, it's so bad. I can't recommend, even if it's so bad, I can't even recommend like a bad viewing party, because that's how bad it is. Basically, I'm gonna save you the effort. Basically, Chucky has a kid somehow, and it's this little creepy looking doll, and it's not creepy as in like scary, just creepy, and just like it's so unnatural looking that it's creepy. And basically the kid doll wants to find Chucky, and it is just so bad. It's just so bad. And then there was a little bit of a reboot in 2013 called The Curse of Chucky, and this one it's okay. It's not anything crazy. It's definitely just an average horror movie. It's a more modern horror, so it's not as great. And then there's the Cult of Chucky, which this is also just offensive. Like, you should not watch this because it is so bad. The Cult of Chucky is just so bad that I can't recommend it. It's basically a mental ward, and there's a bunch of Chuckies. There's like the original Chucky, and then there's like a different personality of Chucky, and the dialogue's just so bad. It's more humorous than horror, and it's just not good. It's a waste of time. But I am looking forward to the new Child's Play. I hope it'll be the movie that kind of scares a whole generation of kids, because, you know, as kids, we gotta have those movies that scare us, that make us realize like that not all movies are happy-go-lucky. You know those movies that you watch and your parents say like, don't watch that, it'll give you nightmares. That's the kind of movies that we need to end up seeing. And part of the reason why I got pretty scared of the original Child's Play is because there was I guess you could call them liquor stores. Yeah, it was a liquor store. There's a liquor store that we ended up frequenting a lot because it's pretty close by, and we would go there, and the shop owner had a Chucky doll, and it scared me every time. It made me realize that like he was real in this world, and I thought that thing was gonna come and kill me. Like, I was so scared. You have no idea. And I remember just staying up at night and being so afraid of like any noise. You know how a house creaks? I guess technically any building creaks, but like, you know, like there's those creaks, or just like the wood is moving. I always thought like, he's here, he's gonna come get me. Like, I just did not have a good time knowing that there was a Chucky doll nearby. It made me really, really anxious in thinking that there was gonna be a real Chucky doll. So the second movie that really scared me as a kid is The Exorcist. And if you haven't seen this and you're a fan of horror, you're doing yourself a disservice. Definitely go watch this. Watch it at night when it's all dark. Watch it alone in the corner of your room, because you'll be so scared. It's just like, it's so horrifying. If you don't know, basically The Exorcist, I don't want to spoil too much, but like The Exorcist is this girl getting possessed, and an exorcist or priest coming to exorcise a demon, and it goes insane from there. You just have to watch it. This is such a good movie. And if you remember at all this thing, there was this game called the Maze game. I don't know if you probably played it, but the Maze game, I remember that it would basically be a maze, and you would slowly make your way through the maze, and just as you're about to make it, a screamer would pop up, right? and the screamer was of the Exorcist girl. And I remember it re-triggered me. It was like, whoa, because I remember, like, I've seen that face before. Where have I seen that face? Oh yeah, The Exorcist. It is just, it's a horrifying movie. There was some sequels. I never ended up watching them because, from what I've heard, they're pretty bad. Just like Child's Play. It's like, maybe it's a sign that we shouldn't do sequels or force sequels. But definitely watch The Exorcist. And that's all I gotta say about the movies that really scared me as a kid. There's some pretty good modern horror movies that I might end up doing a video on later. So stick around. Remember to check the links in the description on how to support the channel and subscribe for future rambles.